A panel discussion, and it will be on experiences and lessons learned and shared with neighbouring countries. Our panellists are Matthias Meerbach, Managing Director of Cruise Automotive in Germany. Unfortunately, Herr Santil can't make it today because he's unwell, but we have Alberto Madella, Customer Care Director for Pusey, and Stefan Kunter, the Chief Executive Officer of Eleflex in Germany as well. So I welcome you all. And just to give you the profiles while the gentlemen come to the stage. Hi.
No specific order?
I don't think so, no. We normally have the name tags. But...
No, that's okay.
Okay, so Matthias Meerbach joined Stockmeyer Group in 2012. His career extends over 20 years in global chemical manufacturing, supply chain and distribution in Europe and North America. Within the Stockmeyer Group, Matthias is the CEO of the Cruise Automotive, AdBlue and Blue Sky, and RCN Chemi. Alberto Madella is Customer Care Director of Pusey, as I mentioned. Alberto has been working as a site project manager in construction of offshore platforms. In Pusey since 2000, Madella is responsible for after-sales service and business development. And Stefan Kunter from Eleflex, who was from 1998 to 2007, acted as managing partner of Hamburg-based sensor manufacturer Fafnir, I believe, in Germany. In 2008, Stefan joined Eleflex at his Hamburg headquarters, whose CEO he has been to this day. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. So in the text for this discussion, it talks about educating market players, so mainly customers, about how to use AdBlue and the purpose of it and so on. But on the panel, we have a broad range of people. We have equipment manufacturers, and again, a nozzle manufacturer, and a supplier, all based in developed markets and so on. From your perspective, what have been the key lessons you've learned over the last, let's say, decade in terms of the supply? What are the key issues you've come up against in terms of problems, and where are the key opportunities that, if you were moving into a less mature market, that you would take that experience into now? So maybe if we start with you, Mr. Meerbach.
That's a very long question, and that's probably covered everything over the last 2 days. I think you cannot answer that with just one sentence. But our experience in the field is the AdBlue consumers get more used to actually filling up the cars. I think the OEMs have also improved on communication. On the supply, of course, we all developed, and I'm not just speaking here for Cruise Automotive, I'm speaking also for competition. I think we all developed ways of moving the products into the tank, and the OEMs have developed system in the display to indicate to the driver when to fill it up. So it has been improved, but it's still a long way to go. What we have seen on one of your slides, that there is a tremendous volume growth in the market. And we see that we have to bridge that over the next years with packed goods. And I see some challenges actually on the distribution part on packed goods and moving that into the market. From our side, we have addressed that in building a new filling facility with capacity. But seeing your numbers and also the one from the VDA, it will be a bridging problem, because the gas stations or the mineral oil companies will not move immediately to pumping stations for passenger cars, and I think that's a challenge for the market. We're facing it. We are prepared, and then we had some side issues in the last 2 days, like the cheating devices and quality of AdBlue. I think these are really some niche issues. Okay. To my knowledge, no major technical incident has been reported. I never heard about the damage of a car in the exhaust system due to the fact that an inappropriate AdBlue has been filled in. Okay. So we are prepared to move the big volumes to the market.
And potentially for Eleflex, there's a big opportunity here with the movement to cars. But I mean, from your experience so far, what can you share with us?
Yeah, Elaflex, we know the market, of course, from many years around the world from the truck area. The truck area was a little bit easier to handle because they're professional drivers. They have more education about what they are driving, etc., etc. I think the biggest problem what is faced in Europe is the education to the motorists. So they pick up a new car, they have no clue what is AdBlue, they were not informed. It's still a big issue. When you pick up cars that you get not informed by your dealer what's going on. We saw in the last days that there are some nice things from Shell with a video, etc., but that's already quite late, yeah? So when you have the car and then an alarm is coming up, the people don't know what to do, yeah? Also the problems we saw a minute ago with the first area of AdBlue cars where they have it in the trunk under the motor somewhere. It's more or less impossible for the motorist to fill it up without making a big disaster. Yeah? And I think that is a big challenge still, and a big challenge also for the OEMs to educate the people better. We saw many years ago in Germany, we faced a problem with E10. I think the Germans who are here in the room know the E10 problem, what ends up in a disaster. So E10 is a dead product, more or less, because the education to the motorist was impossible. They leave it to the station manager, and the station manager has no clue how he can give a clear answer on that. Shell told us with a nice video that they try to learn from these lessons and try to implement it, and I think that is the right way, but it has to be done more.
Okay.
Yeah? Also, your app will help, I think, definitely, and the integration into the new sat-nav systems will help the motorist to have a better understanding of what's going on.
I mean, that's the thing. AdBlue is obviously well known in the commercial vehicle market, but it's basically on the cusp of becoming a household name.
Yeah.
And so until the time when it becomes like Hoover or whatever else, which it will, given the numbers of cars we're talking about, yeah, there's a lot of effort to be made in the interim if it's going to work.
And it's always a difference between a professional driver, like a truck driver, who has more interest in his vehicle than a motor. The British always say the lady drivers and the pen pushers. Yeah? they are just want to buy a car because the nice leather seats and things like that, and are not interesting about the technology behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And from as a equipment manufacturer, what can you bring in terms of experience you've seen from the change in the market over the years?
We are in this market since from the beginning. We start, and then we have seen all the evolution. It is true that the beginning was easier to work for the equipment, for the truck, for the filling the truck. There was more acknowledgement about the people. The beginning was not like this, but after a while, the people understand better how to use the equipment and so on. However, it's a market that is still growing, because it's true that in Germany, it's a big market and discovered, but there are out of Germany, still in Europe, many areas that are still developing, even even for truck. Italy example is not covered completely, not yet. Then we believe that there is still the market for the component, for the equipment is still alive, also for the truck. But there is a new market, the passenger car, and we are touching a little bit. We are trying, but we already developed some product. It is true that the car manufacturers are going to change the refilling point. They start with the possibility to fill up with a flow rate low. Now they are going with a flow rate that is higher. And this, it's a complication for the people that develop the equipment. This is true. As explained before, Grinken, the position, the filling point move from different points, and this could be another source of complication. However, we believe that in the future, also for equipment point of view, there is a bigger development thanks to the to the passenger car market.
Yeah, and you mentioned flow rates, and maybe, Stefan, this is a question for you. Is there a consensus on what the final flow rate will be? We've heard all things from 4 liters to 10 liters a minute. I mean,
the standard is quite clear. So all cars who are fulfill the ISO standard, they have to fulfill 10 liter per minute as maximum. There is a discussion ongoing to increase the flow rate, but this is always a problem with backwards compatibility. So there are some OEMs, from the beginning, like Mercedes, was capable to get filled with 40 liter per minute, so that they can use a truck filling positions. But we heard also from the major oil companies that they are not amused that a motorist is driving in the heavy-duty area because it's the other game over there. Yeah? And so that means that the maneuvering at the station is a quite difficult point. The stations are tight. It's a very expensive land, and so they want the points at the motorist area and not the truck area. So I think that is the discussion. So all new cars, they are fulfill the ISO standard, are capable to get with 10 liter per minute. That is no problem.
Okay, thank you. And a question on a similar note to you, Mr. Mirek, is that we've heard several times that the bottles, one of the issues with bottles and canisters is the waste. Is there any developments as you see that could mitigate that whilst maintaining the application of AdBlue by bottles, so ease of recycling and so on, and waste management even on the forecourt?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not just us. I mean, many people come up with different solutions. Of course, there are bottles and all kind of different bottles. Our bottle was originally developed together with the OEMs, because it's a closed system, actually with a ventile built in. So it's quite a sophisticated bottle, absolutely spill-free. But it is also a technical strong solution. And then the industry moved to 5 liters, to 10 liters, and now we see actually increased 10-liter canisters at the gas stations. And of course, voices are coming up. What are we doing with the 20, 30, up to 60 canister per day per station? And that's a lot of waste. It's unnecessary for all us, because we do something green with with AdBlue. We're trying to get greener, all of here in the room. And we came up with a pouch. Again, we are not the only one with a pouch, but the pouch is very light, very easy to fill in. And we also developed a transportable pouch. And that pouch you can easily fold together and throw it in the garbage can. And it's also fulfilling all the recycling aspects on the DSD, for example. So yes, that will be a waste reduction.
Okay, thank you. Switching topics slightly now, and there's a question for you, which is, in the earlier session we heard that storage and transportation is where you get a lot of the issues around contamination. So we've heard several times that production can be an issue, but it's rare. But there tends to be significant issues sometimes with storage and transportation of material. And I'm not suggesting it's regards to any particular group of equipment, but what have been the issues that you've seen that have come up either from your competitors or even with yourselves, and how have you found solutions for those?
You mean in case of, I don't understand.
So in terms of the storage of AdBlue liquid once it's arrived at a site and with the dispensing equipment, that's quite often a point of contamination.
Yeah.
So how have those problems come about, and what have been the solutions?
Yeah, we are, as explained before, also we are FAUDIAO member, and with respect to the ISO concerning the possible contamination, we test all the equipment before with the laboratory. We test all the equipment, then we guarantee that there is not contamination in our equipment. Okay. On the AdBlue. It is true that the supply chain is very long because we sell to the tank manufacturer, that also the tank has to be suitable or better compatible with AdBlue. And yeah, we can guarantee. It is true that we never receive an audit from FDA, and it is true also that we never had a big, up to date, we never had an issue. I'm sorry. We never had an issue with the quality of our product. But it's true that we never receive an audit. I believe that also the competitor never receive an audit about that. Competitor are also out of Europe sometimes. This is the major problem, in my opinion. However, there is a lack of confidence, not confidence, but there is a lack of control on this side, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe the tank manufacturer are, the tank are made in the right way, but concerning the equipment, sometimes could be that in the market arrives some material that can have some problem with the contamination.
Yeah. And we hear, you know, equipment that's delivered fine and then degrades over time as well, and that causes problems. Are there any questions from the floor for our panelists to query their experience or to ask for advice? So there's one from Tim. Have you got a microphone?
Tim from Integer. This is a question for Mr. Kunze from Eleflex mainly. You mentioned the flow rate for passenger car applications and also the truck, that some cars can take the higher flow rate. You mentioned Mercedes-Benz. For truck pumps around Europe, which often use your nozzles, are those nozzles normally using the magnetic interlock? And also, from your knowledge, do some cars have the magnetic ring installed, so I guess the question is how accessible, from the point of view of the magnets, are the truck pumps in Europe for cars?
In Europe, we are quite okay with all. I think 99.9% in the trucks have the ISO filler neck. Also in other areas in the world, it's not a big problem. But we face problems in some import markets. We just face problems in Israel, where cars get imported from the US get retrofitted with tanks. They are not completely mounted, and they forgot to implement the magnet. So that means some trucks come to the site and cannot refill because the stations are 100% equipped with misfilling prevention nozzles. So I think that is a challenge. There was always a discussion. There are around the world around 100,000 installations on public petrol stations. Yeah? I just talk about public petrol stations, not the backyard thing when a fleet guy can do whatever he wants if he's doing it on his ground. But in the public side, the oil companies they have to have the evidence that everything is according to the standard, because otherwise a trucker can claim if he make a misfilling.
And then on the passenger car side, are there any new passenger cars which have the magnet ring which allows them to use the truck pump?
It's standard. Was from the first day on, more or less, was Mercedes-Benz on their passenger cars, who has equipped most of their cars, I think, with a magnet inside. And there are some other OEMs who have, I think the 700 BMW is equipped, etc., etc. But there are some who want to do it, and some others don't want to do it. It's a kind also of money, because the magnet costs money, and the venting system has to be much bigger. Instead of 10-liter air or vapor what has to come out, 40 liter of air has to get out. So that means the venting line is much bigger. It's more cost added to the car. Magnet is a cost effect to the car. So I would say that more cars are without a magnet, but they're coming more with a magnet.
And presumably, because fuel retailers are not keen on people using the truck lane,
that's the biggest issue for them. The major oil companies are very scared about HSE issues on the side. If a car maneuver around hitting somebody, and if the passenger car maneuver between the 40-ton lanes, you see the truckers. They are big trucks, tight roads. When they not see the small cars and the damages, and that's why they split always. The big OEMs always split the the 40 tons heavy duty from the passenger car area.
I mean, just anecdotally, when we were doing the research for the Find AdBlue site, the number of retail fuel stations that we rang and said, do you serve AdBlue for passenger cars from the pump? And they said yes. And as you asked them about the nozzle, and it was always in the majority of cases was a truck nozzle. So it is happening. And so I believe you can buy these magnets online and install them. But I mean, over time, as the passenger car network improves, then people will presumably opt not to use the truck lanes, because I imagine it's not a particularly pleasant experience.
No, it's not.
No, yeah. Any more questions from the floor? Yes.
Also for, excuse me, the name, it's a bit difficult for me.
Yeah, Stefan, yeah.
Is regarding light vehicles. In light vehicles, we are experiencing situations where you can use, let's say, a truck nozzle, and for some other vehicles you need to go for a more for your passenger car nozzle. Is there a standard on that sense, or it can vary from brand to brand, or there will be one standard at the end for light vehicles? I talk especially about the commercial vehicles, vans, Crafter, all these kind of models.
That was a discussion we had 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when the ISO standard was under development for the passenger car. So there were, in the end of the day, from our point and also from the oil company's point, no need to have a new standard. So why not use the existing equipment also for passenger cars? But that was rejected due to the fact that the flow rate is an issue for most of the OEMs to fill up a car with 40 liters per minute. If you have a big car, like a G-Class Mercedes, etc., it's not an issue. They have a big tank inside. But we also see small tanks like Opel Charan, Opel Sigma, or what is the name. They have an 8-liter tank inside. You cannot fill an 8-liter tank with 40 liters per minute. It's impossible.
I was referring more to vans, the commercial vehicles, not to passenger cars. I was referring to vans.
That's up to the OEMs how they will make the decision. Yeah, that's not a decision from us and not a decision from an oil company. And if a van, I would say the Sprinter class, yeah, it's a typical one. We see Sprinter class that you can also fill with the heavy duty nozzle diesel. So that means you can fill a Sprinter with 120 liters a minute. It's a decision from the OEM what they like. I know in the US, all these cars who are driving diesel, that's not so much. They get filled with 120 liters per minute diesel, and they also go to the 40 liters per minute AdBlue side, because there's no other nozzle available on diesel.
Okay, any more questions from the floor? If you were to make a closing statement in terms of what you've taken away, I know that you said it was a long question before, but if there was one thing that you would offer to, we've got members of the supply community here from countries where the volumes are just picking up. Apart from maybe as a partnership offer, but what is the key bit of advice you would offer for them in terms of things to look out for in the near future? Over to you.
In the last 2 days, of course, there were mixed feelings, especially on the background of the current diesel discussion triggered by some OEMs. And I think the spirit in that room should be let's go with the diesel, because the diesel is linked to the AdBlue. And my opinion is it will remain on a high level, on a high diesel level. And the background of AdBlue is let's keep it positive, because we do something positively for the environment. And I haven't heard that in the last 2 days, that we make actually something greener, and that we bring the pollution rate down. And that needs to be more pushed by all of us in the room, by the OEMs. And then some of us here in the room take care of a good supply to the market. I think nobody will be run dry. And we all have to do a lot more on the communication and educate the consumers, the drivers, the motorists, and that would be the overall spirit from my point of view.
Okay.
I hope it was not too general.
No, absolutely not. Stefan?
Yeah, I repeat myself again, more education to the motorist. What is AdBlue? And more information to the press that we not read every day, that from tomorrow onwards we all have to drive a Tesla car, yeah?
What is a Tesla? I don't know what that is.
You were. And Alberto?
Yeah, I agree to have more information. Sometimes more information, also the dealer that sell the car. We have some case, people buy a car, don't know that, I mean, what happened up to some months ago, don't know that there is AdBlue on the car. They say, when the car is out of the shop, I'm sorry, I forget, there is also AdBlue on the car. It happens sometimes like this. Then information is important. And I saw what is doing Shell with the people in the shop, in the gas station. This is important. Also the operator in the gas station knows what to do and avoid to have problems. But on our side, I repeat, we are trying to make equipment as well that are easy to use, and we are working on this side to make easier for the end user the refilling. This is becoming important because up to date with the truck, we had more professional people involved, but now the sales. I don't know if we'll arrive self-service system, but I think in the future something like self-service maybe will be required.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I say one final word on the consumption of AdBlue? If you go to the OEM websites, and if you combine it with the information from Jakob Seiler this morning, then you find on many OEM websites that the consumption for passenger cars on a normal car, average car, goes up to 3 liters per 1,000 kilometers. And that behind that is a common law, a European law, that's the real drive emission, and cars will use then up to 3 liters per 1,000 kilometers. And that's a lot more what we currently face. It makes the world greener, the pollution brings it down, but the consumption will go up, which is good for Elaflex and all the others here who are supplying AdBlue to the market.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a key point. Even I mean, there's some subjectivity about the future of diesel, and we heard different opinions from myself and others today. But yeah, this principle with RDE, you're going to see dosing rates go up, whatever happens. So the net effect is very, very positive. Yeah. And again, a point you made earlier, which is that there tends to be, or has been, a lot of negativity around the discussions today in terms of quality and so on. But the reality is, as in the numbers that I've shown, I mean, you may take them to be optimistic or conservative as you wish, but the fact is there's growth in this business, regardless of really what happens with the diesel market in terms of its penetration. And there is a huge opportunity in the coming years for you all to take advantage of. So with that, I think we'll close, and if we could have a round of applause, please, for our panel. And just before you go, there's a feedback form on your, or there should be a feedback form in front of you. If you could do us a big favour and fill that in, it helps us to make the events better in the future. And just some closing remarks. Again, just to say that the tone of these things, you're always going to address things that are wrong rather than right, because the right things don't need to change. And as I said, there has been a degree of negativity in some of the debates in the last 2 days. But this fundamentally is a business that's looking to do things for the better, will reduce air pollution, even with the fact that vehicles have not always performed at what they've said they have. The level of NOx in the atmosphere has been brought down by AdBlue over the years. And as I said, things are improving. Real driving emissions will bring some real robust enforcement of the standards and they will reflect what's happening in reality. Volumes will continue to go up from a business point of view, and the proposition for retail is very strong as well. So I think the message to take away is remain positive, and we'll continue to improve, and we'll see you next year. Thank you very much for coming. And round of applause.